from the Radio What Studios, and this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me at your next event. I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. This week's shows, I'll be at the RAB in Conway, Arkansas, the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam, Friday nights at the RAB. It's my usual Friday night gig. I'm there, I don't know, over 40 nights, over 40 Fridays a year, closer to 50 Fridays a year. I think I've only cut out maybe 2 weeks out of the year. You know, gotta have some me time. And it's always a good time at the RAB. They have a full bar, kitchens open, pool tables. In fact, there's a pool tournament Friday nights. So if you want to make a little bit of money while you're waiting to sing a song, you could do that at the RAB, Conway, Arkansas, 8 p.m. Friday nights. Be there. And also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Thursday, August 20th, 2020. 10 things you need to know today. Number 1, Kamala Harris accepts historic Democratic vice presidential nomination. Senator Kamala Harris, Democrat, California, accepted the Democratic nomination for vice president on the third night of the party's virtual convention on Wednesday, becoming the first Black and South Asian woman ever nominated to a major presidential party ticket. Harris said the United States is at an, quote, inflection point, end quote, as President Trump creates, quote, constant chaos, end quote, and division. Quote, the incompetence makes us feel afraid. The callousness makes us feel alone. We can do better and serve so much more. We must elect a president who will bring something different and do the important work, end quote. Harris urged voters to get behind the party's presidential candidate, Joe Biden, saying he shares, quote, a vision of our nation as a beloved community where all are welcome, no matter what we look like, where we come from, or who we love, end quote. This is according to the Washington Post. Number 2, Trump demands UN revive Iran sanctions. President Trump announced Wednesday that he would call for reviving all United Nations sanctions against Iran. The demand follows the Trump administration's failure to extend an arms embargo against Iran, and it's set up a clash over policy towards Tehran. Quote, 2 years ago, I withdrew the United States from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal, which was a product of the Obama-Biden foreign policy failure, end quote, Trump said, adding that the U.S. paid a great deal of money, quote, for absolutely nothing and a short-term deal, end quote. Trump said if he wins re-election, quote, Iran will come to us and they are going to be asking for a deal so quickly because they are doing very poorly, end quote. Trump said Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will present the demand to the UN in New York on Thursday. This is according to the Associated Press. Number 3, Obama says in convention speech that democracy is on the line. Former President Barack Obama and other Democratic convention speakers on Wednesday said democracy is on the line in the November election. Obama said President Trump, quote, hasn't grown into the job because he can't, end quote, and that the consequences of Trump's failure, quote, are severe. 170,000 Americans dead, millions of jobs gone, end quote. Obama urged voters to back Democratic candidate Joe Biden, stressing his character and experience as vice president. Other speakers, including Senator Elizabeth Warren, Democrat, Massachusetts, praised Biden's plans on child care, climate change, and other issues. Former Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton warned against dismissing Trump as many did in 2016. Quote, for 4 years, people have said to me, I didn't realize how dangerous he was, end quote, Clinton said. Quote, well, this can't be another woulda, coulda, shoulda election, end quote. This is according to the Associated Press and the New York Times. Number 4. Fed minutes show support for more coronavirus relief. Federal Reserve officials expect the U.S. economy to need more support to recover from the coronavirus crisis, according to minutes from the central bank's July 28-29th policy meeting released Wednesday. Some Fed leaders said they thought, quote, additional accommodation could be required, end quote, to stimulate the economy as the pandemic disrupts supply chains, forces layoffs, and drags down many businesses. One change under discussion that could provide certainty was offering details on how long the Fed expects to keep interest rates near zero after dropping them in March and increasing the central bank's asset holdings from $3 trillion to $7 trillion. U.S. stock index futures fell early Thursday as investors digested the Fed expression of uncertainty, but pared the losses after China announced that U.S.-China trade talks would resume within days. This is according to the Wall Street Journal and CNBC. Number 5, Barr says Operation Legend has yielded 1,485 arrests. Attorney General William Barr announced Wednesday that 1,485 people had been arrested in Operation Legend, an initiative in which the Trump administration sent more than 1,000 federal law enforcement officers to assist local law enforcement agencies in 9 cities with rising crime rates. The program launched last month at a politically charged White House event. President Trump said he was targeting areas, quote, all run by liberal Democrats, end quote, fueling suspicions. The initiative was linked to the dispatching of federal agents to clamp down on sometimes violent demonstrations in Portland, Oregon. The criticism faded as the operation expanded and federal agents collaborated with police. About 217 people have been charged with federal crimes, most of them drug or gun related. Barr said more than 90 defendants were, quote, suspected killers, end quote. This is according to CNN and ABC News. Number 6, Trump praises followers of QAnon conspiracy theory. President Trump on Wednesday praised followers of the far-right QAnon conspiracy theory, which centers on a false narrative that Trump is leading a secret fight against a criminal band of pedophiles and satanic worshipers. Quote, is that supposed to be a bad thing? End quote, Trump said. Quote, if I can help save the world from problems, I'm willing to do it, end quote. QAnon followers have committed acts of violence, and the FBI classified QAnon as a domestic terrorism threat. But Trump described the conspiracy theory's followers as patriots upset over unrest in cities run by Democrats. Quote, I've heard these are people that love our country, end quote, Trump said during a White House coronavirus news conference. Quote, so I don't really know. Quote, so I don't really know. No, start over again. Quote, so I don't know really anything about it other than they do supposedly like me, end quote. This is according to the New York Times and NPR. Number 7, U.S. won't seek death penalty for ISIS Beatles. Attorney General William Barr said Wednesday that the United States will drop its push for the death penalty for 2 British Islamic State members tied to the killings of Western hostages, provided the UK turns over evidence needed for their prosecution. The suspects, Alexander Coty and El Shafi Eli Sheikh, are members of an ISIS execution squad nicknamed the Beatles because its members are English speakers. The group has been blamed for the murders of U.S. journalist James Foley and Steven Sotloff, and aid workers Kayla Mueller and Peter Kassig. Barr sent a letter to Priti Patel, Britain's interior minister, this week saying that if the UK doesn't provide the evidence by October 15th, the men will be transferred from U.S. military detention in an unidentified overseas location to the Iraq justice system. This is according to the Washington Post and Reuters. Number 8, reports Michigan will pay $600 million to Flint water crisis victims. This week, the state of Michigan is expected to announce that it will pay $600 million to victims of the Flint water crisis, the New York Times reported Wednesday, citing 2 people with knowledge of the matter. In 2014, the city of Flint switched its water supply from Lake Huron to the polluted Flint River, and residents were exposed to lead-contaminated water for nearly 2 years. Tens of thousands of residents are expected to be eligible to receive funds, the Times reports, with most of the settlement money going to children. The settlement is still subject to approval by a federal judge. This is according to the New York Times. Number 9, Russian opposition leader hospitalized after alleged poisoning. Alexei Navalny, Russian President Vladimir Putin's most prominent critic, was rushed to the hospital Thursday and placed on a ventilator after he became suddenly ill on a flight back to Moscow from Siberia. Kira Yarmish, the press secretary for Navalny's anti-corruption organization, tweeted that he apparently drank poison tea. Navalny, 44, has frequently been jailed by Russian state prosecutors. He once had a mysterious allergic reaction to a food in a Russian jail last year and a green astringent substance thrown at his eyes and face in 2017. Critics of Putin have been poisoned in recent years, fallen to their deaths from balconies, and been assassinated in European cities. Navalny had been in Siberia campaigning for opposition candidates in upcoming local elections. This is according to BBC News and The Guardian. Number 10, lightning strikes spark new fires in California. California Governor Gavin Newsom, Democrat, said Wednesday that there were 367 wildfires burning in the state, many apparently started by some of the nearly 11,000 dry lightning strikes that have hit northern and central California since Sunday. The first fatality in the fires occurred on Wednesday when a helicopter fighting the blaze crashed, killing the pilot. The Hennessy fire is one of the biggest. It started in Napa County on Monday and has spread to 2 other counties, Solano and Yolo. It has destroyed 50 buildings, damaged another 50 structures, and forced thousands to evacuate. The California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection said that so far this year, more than 300,000 acres have burned in the state, compared to 270,000 acres in all of 2019. This is according to the Los Angeles Times and NPR. That's 10 things you need to know today for Thursday, August 20th, 2020. Thank you so much for listening. Looking pretty grim out there. I hope you have some good news. Drop me some comments. Let me know what you're up to in this time. I want to know. No, I really want to know. I need some good news. This is crazy out there. But yeah, I guess that's all my fault. This is the 10 things that gets curated for me and sent to my email on the daily. And then I report it to you. You make with it what you will. You know what? I'd like to invite you, yes, you, to listen to or even participate in my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Everyone has a story. You have a story. I'd like to hear your story. Also, hey, if you're into gaming, I'm streaming games too. Find me on Facebook at KeysDAN Gaming. Find me on Facebook at KeysDAN Gaming, or find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/KeysDAN. And you can watch me fail at games too, just like I'm failing miserably reporting on this podcast. This has been What Makes You Smarter. I'm trying to get smarter. I am. I really am. Thank you for listening. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out.